main reason that I'm going R5II over the R6II right now is... Hello and welcome to my first shoot with the Canon R5 Mark II and the 35 1.4. Wow, that's a heck of a sun flare right there. Today we're going to an engagement style shoot, and it's actually a shoot that I booked through the Focal Ignite program. So if you're interested in getting wedding photography bookings, check out Ignite. The amazing thing is that it comes with somebody that will answer your email for you and do all your sales as well. They will run all of your ads for you. They will bring in the leads, and someone will actually respond to those leads over email and book you work. And this is one of the shoots that I booked through that program, so check it out below if you're interested. Lots of photographers have made a ton of money already. Now, on to this combo. I don't know how much I have to say about the Canon R5 Mark II. I think a lot of us kind of felt that it was a no release, that it was like, yeah, thank you. I guess it is, so maybe I'll backtrack on that. It is kind of the new standard at that price point. So now other brands are going to have to compete to make a standard camera within that. So maybe there was nothing revolutionary that was introduced with this camera, but it did have an impact on the industry in some way. The R5 was never a camera that I used a whole lot. I used the R6 and I used the R6 Mark II a lot. I never really got too heavy into the R5. I don't need the additional megapixels for wedding photography most of the time. I will say it is very, very nice if you are shooting a higher megapixel camera that you're able to go into APS-C crop mode. And on Canon, you get a 1.6 times crop, I believe. So your lenses get a little bit longer. So if you are on a higher megapixel camera body like this, in crop mode, the files are actually usable. Whereas if you're on an R6, the files would be very, very low megapixels. I'm gonna guess around like maybe 10 or less megapixels, which is not really ideal. It's fine for a few documentary style images here at the wedding day, but a camera like the R5 is a much better tool, I would say, overall. And going into APS-C crop mode is not something that I would be doing on a day like this when I have full control over my settings. It would be at a ceremony where I just need a little bit more reach and I want to do the cropping in the camera rather than doing it in post-production. And then the other updates, the autofocus has gotten better, but the autofocus was already really good. So I don't know if that's a huge update. It's obviously an incremental boost. They refined some things, they made things better. The subject tracking, if you're into sports, maybe it's gonna be a lot better. But for wedding days, it's like, I never had any issues with it. I've never had any issues with any Canon products, any Nikon products now. The Z6 III is amazing. Anything by Sony. The A9 III for me, I would say, is the high watermark right now. And it's interesting because I do shoot all camera brands on this channel. It was very interesting last weekend to be shooting the A9 III next to the R6II, and the R6II felt a little sluggish in comparison to the A9 III. The A9 III is just really, really fast, and the autofocus does exactly what I expect it to do. So I'm hopeful that this Canon R5 Mark II is going to have some of those same principles. And with the A9 III, what I think I was experiencing is that it tends to prioritize subjects that are in the center. So I shoot on all wide focus points all day, unless I'm in a very complex situation that I need to control it. For Sony, I will typically find a subject that's in the center and I will half press. So I use front button focus. I don't use back button focus. I'll half press on them and then I will focus and recompose a little bit. With Canon, I found it difficult to do. And if I was trying to, like, for instance, you right here, if I was trying to focus on you, it would be focusing on somebody here that was in maybe a better composition overall, but I felt like it was just trying to fight me a little bit too much here at the wedding day. So I'm interested to see what updates they've done to the autofocus in this R5 Mark II. There are so many different ways you can customize the autofocus now, so if you are into sports, you're going to have a very, very nice time with the new Canon products. Beyond that, the only reason, I would say the main reason that I'm going R5II over the R6II right now is because I do hybrid photo video coverage. And if you're on an R6II and you're in photography mode and you hit this record button, you're always launched into automatic recording, at least my testing, tell me if I'm wrong. Whereas on the R5 series, as well as the R3, I haven't tried the R1 yet, but you can set your video settings to be manual. So when you hit this button, when you're in photography mode and you start recording, you'll actually have manual controls over the video, which is really, really nice. The other dream that was shattered immediately, I wanted to buy this guy. I got this pre-order from BJ Photo, Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. Please buy your things there. They're an amazing family-run shop. And in my brain, I come up with the fact that during the press release, you can now do video, and then when you hit the shutter button, you can be taking raw photography, and I was wrong. It's just JPEG. So it's basically like you're on your iPhone and you're recording a video and you're tapping the little screenshot button. Essentially, you're getting a smaller megapixel file in JPEG only when you're doing video. It is a nice step forwards, and I am very, 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 very excited for the day that we will be able to be recording video and also taking raw photography. That would be a dream come true for me. And whatever brand does it first, I'm going to be using very heavily here on the channel and in my professional work. Now, let's talk about the lens. 35mm F1.4. I would say it's a go-to lens for me for any camera system. The 35 1.4 is pretty much, I would say, a go-to travel lens as well. Although this one kind of steps a little bit too large out of the size of what I would consider to be a nice travel lens. Something around there might be a little bit nicer. So maybe I will stay on the 1.8 that's a lot smaller if I am doing some personal work. I'm gonna do a side-by-side test and see how much I actually prefer this lens, because if this is significantly better and creates way better images, maybe it's a lens that is going to be worth the additional, it's not so much the heaviness, it's just the physical size of it, and it's not gonna fit as easily into a bag as something like the 35 1.8. Overall, the autofocus of this lens, very, very fast. This is just this is a dream combo right here, I would say. For wedding photography, you could go most of the day. I'm not gonna say you can go all day with a kit like this. Ceremony, you're gonna want more reach, obviously, but for getting ready, for family photos, for photos of the couple even, you would be very, very happy on a lens like this for most of the day. I personally typically shoot 2 camera bodies, so I'll have a 35, and I find it used to be the 85mm lens was my main lens. I found myself using the 35mm lens a lot more as a main lens. So my second lens is now an 85, and I'll be shooting both those cameras pretty much all day. The 85 coming in the most important, I would say, in the reception, as well as during a ceremony. If you don't have a 7200, the 85 will do a lot of great things for your ceremony coverage. Whereas the 35, you're just gonna have to be a little bit too close. One thing I will say about this lens, I don't know if you can hear it, but there is an element or something in here that is quite bouncy. So usually you can kind of feel the IBIS when you move the camera, and the camera is not powered on. With this lens, you can definitely feel something moving in there. So that's my story so far. It's not important, doesn't really matter, but it's just something that's, I find it to be a little bit weird. Like, is it broken? Unless it is broken. Oh no. There it is, Canon R5 Mark II, first shoot with it, as well as the 35 F1.4. Really a dream combination, and I am very happy with it. I will be using this more on the channel. We're going to Iceland next week, and I will be doing a full video there with this camera and probably the 28 to 70 f2. That's going to be my go-to all-day lens, but I might use the 35 as well. We'll find out together, and based on the crazy weather conditions out in Iceland. If you are interested in getting in on the Focal Ignite program and just getting bookings automatically, having somebody run as your studio manager and just book you work, check out the link down below and apply. There is a bit of an application process because we have limited space at Focal. I'm a part owner in the company, and because you get to work with one of our real actual humans, we have limited capacity. So apply down below if you're interested and get in on the Focal Ignite program and book more weddings, and also do less work, less email,